Hello friends, I'm Das Food and I am wearing a shirt with ships on it. That's how you know I'm a fun guy. Now, what I want to do today is I want to go through the latest dev update and I want to talk about what I think because there's some pretty good changes in here. Good may be the wrong word. Big changes. I want to see how a lot of them play out before I actually go through and say good, bad, whatever. But I want to give you my initial thoughts because this is about to hit the PTB, and I know that a lot of people like to get varying perspectives. So, go out, listen to what other creators say, listen to what I say, and then, by the way, play it yourself, read it yourself, form your own opinion, right? So, let's get right into it. September 2023. This is the dev update. Little introduction here, nothing important, just nice little flavor text, I guess. Antiface Camping. So this one, and again, I'm going to have it set up to where if you want to pause and you want to read through it all yourself, I'm not going to just verbatim read the update, right? I'm going to summarize things. So with this one, what they're basically doing is if the killer is standing right on top of you, it's going to fill up a little meter. Once that meter fills up all the way, think of it like Deliverance. You can guarantee you're going to get off the hook. It's not, oh yeah, it raises to 50%, 60%, 70%. It goes all the way up to 100%. You will be getting off the hook. That's absolutely certain. And, well, first off, I guess before I give it my thoughts, let me say the other important part about it is that if your friends are nearby, if they're looping around the hook, it's not going to move. So they're not going to punish killers for having to take on excessively aggressive survivors, which is good. That would have been a bad call. So my thought with this, also the fact it disables in the end game, good foresight on their part, because again, if you camp in the end game, that's just smart. That's what you should do. And again, I not so secretly have kind of moved from being a killer main to a survivor main over the last few months. So even as a survivor main, I've been camped. I get it. I know why it's not fun, but I look at this and I say, I'm still worried about it. I'm still worried about it because I think it's a real backbreaker for some of the weaker killers. I don't have a big problem with camping. I know a lot of people hate it. I get that. I'm in the minority here. I understand. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I am willing to give this a try. I am willing to see how this plays out before I say, oh, I hate it. It's awful. I think there's a decent idea in here. It's not one that I am necessarily looking at and saying, yeah, this is what I think needed to be done. But they've made changes in the past that initially I wasn't big on, and they grew on me. So this one, I'm very much in the realm of saying, let's see how it plays out. And, if it's a disaster, all right, they can always remove it, and I hope they will if it goes poorly. I don't necessarily, it is a complex thing, because if you stand on the top floor, let's say you have them in basement and you're in the shack above them, it's still going to fill up the meter. And on the one hand, I see where that's necessary, especially for the Bubbas and Tricksters of the world. But on the other hand, it feels like you're going to have times where just by playing a little cautiously, you give a free unhook, and unhooks are huge. It's why something like Deliverance, that's only one free unhook per survivor, and realistically, it can only be 3 per game, amongst all the survivors. It's so powerful of a perk because unhooks undo a killer's work. So we'll see. We'll see on this one. Let's give it a chance. Let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Oh, you hear my creaky chair? It's a recurring character on this channel. Skull Merchant. So it's not exactly a secret that I am not a Skull Merchant fan in any regard. I don't like her chase music, I don't like her aesthetic, I'm not crazy about her perks, and of course I hated her power. It was also just a bad time for the game. I feel like the whole community kind of got a little angry at each other around the time of this release, so I have a lot of bad energy around the Skull Merchant, but they're trying to fix that, and I appreciate that. So after reading the update, and we're going to get into it, so I'll scroll down so you can go in and read most of it. I mean, it's a pretty fat update they're doing here for Skull Merchant. So one thing that I notice when I look at it is I think this is bad for Chess Merchant players and good for Skull Merchant players. And what I mean by that is if you are of the more ridiculous variety of Skull Merchant mains and you want the game to last 45 minutes, 50 minutes, a full hour, this is bad for you. This is very bad for you. If you just like the killer, maybe you like how she looks, what you see. Taste is subjective. But if you just like the killer and you like some thought of using the drones and all that, this is good. So this is going to make her a much more chase-oriented killer. So I said I wasn't going to read it verbatim, but basically I will highlight. You have two new modes. You have stealth mode and scouting mode. Stealth mode, you're not going to see that big ring around it that lets you know, oh, there's a drone here. It's going to be quieter. You're going to actually have to pay attention to see it, though I do think, unless they change something drastic, I think it's going to be pretty easy to see, just me personally. Scouting mode, you think back to what it already has where the thing is spinning around, and if it sees you, it goes back up in the sky. It's that, but it's going to be spinning a lot more quickly. Good, okay. If you get exposed now, not exposed, sorry. If you get locked on now, you automatically get a claw trap put on you. Good change. I like that a lot. I think that's a solid way of actually making it to where it's a little more impactful without being so Jin defensy, right? Because the whole issue was this right here, this term, active zones. You would go into an active zone, the skull merchant could see, oh, Jeff Johansson just went into an active zone. I know roughly where Jeff is, I'll go chase Jeff. And that was part of the issue there. Obviously, it would expose survivors, and you had the effects like making them oblivious and all that. It was ridiculous, it was stupid, it was a bad design, but they've realized that, credit where it's due. It takes a big person to admit when you're wrong, right? So again, nothing but love for the devs for actually acknowledging where they made some shortcomings with this one. Is this going to make the Skull Merchant a fun killer? Probably not. I don't look at this and say this is a killer that I want to spend a lot of time on, but as I have already established, Skull Merchant is not for me. Clearly, this is just not a killer that I'm really vibing with. And I do like a change in the approach to where she's more chase oriented. And by the way, you go down here, and I told you this was a fat update. Look at that. I mean, we were down to like about right here. We still have all this. So I think it's cool. What is it? Where was the thing? Skull Merchant's going to have quieter footsteps now. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a solid change that they're making there. What is it? You can put drones closer to each other. She has more drones, which, my goodness, can you imagine if she had started with her old power, if she had 6 drones? I would have quit. But okay. This is fun. This is a daring attempt at making a very unfun killer a lot more fun for both sides. So, credit where it's due. I'm actually genuinely excited to see how this shakes out, and I really don't have a lot negative to say. Are there points of concern? Yeah, obviously. But I don't know. I think this one's good. I think this is a good change. I'm excited about it. As excited as I'll ever be, at least for the Skull Merchant. Shattered Square. So this one is funny. They point this out. Thank goodness. Where did it say? A little mind-blown thing. The Shattered Square has been a rectangle this entire time. So thank goodness. The most important change in Dead by Daylight history. The Shattered Square is being made into a square. Thank you. But this one's big because what they're doing is they are taking this map that most people have complained about being way too big, and they're shrinking it down some. And they're also doing some of the things. They talk about the low obstacles, how, you know, maybe you're running as Billy or Blight or whatever, or even as a survivor trying to get away, and you run into something that, because of the angle of your camera, especially for killers looking from the POV, but even with the third person of survivors, sometimes you run into things that are just too low to the ground to really see. And that's very frustrating. It feels terrible to go down because of something like that, and it feels even worse, I think, if you're like Billy and you hit some minor little thing that there was no way for you to see. So I like that they're going to take the low obstacles and make them, you know, mid to high. It is also a huge problem with this map that you can see people from basically across the map. Great for Huntress, not so great for most others. On both the killer and survivor side, by the way. I think there's some real downsides for both. Like, if you play on this map as Ghostface or Myers, oh, Myers maybe, I don't know, but you get the point. There's a real downside to it, and then as a survivor, it really sucks to just feel like no matter what, the killer's going to see you if they're within a country mile. That's not fun. So I like that they're going to change the line of sight. They're going to make it into a smaller square. That's good. Navigation, I personally didn't think the navigation was like terrible on this map. I know I'm in the minority there as well, but I actually generally like this map. I'm very much of the opinion that this is an overhated map as it is. Now, There's one thing I despise about this map, and they're not changing it. But they can. There's still time. Behavior, please. Please change the filter on this map. It is like we woke up in orange Fanta. It's just this. This is the most citrusy map I've ever seen. You have that red-orange filter over everything. It doesn't really show through in this picture, but if you've played on the map, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. It is unpleasant to look at. And if you would just tone it down a little bit, just take the intensity down a little bit, I think people legitimately just changing the filter would make the map more popular. But the square is a good change. The obstacles are a good change. Overall, fantastic. Really, really happy about this one. Not happy about this one. Not happy about Macmillan Estate. So all they're doing here is adding a new version, I guess. They call it a second alternate version for each of the Macmillan maps. So what that means is, what are there? 5 Macmillan maps? What? Groaning Storehouse, Suffocation Pit. You got a couple of them. You have at least 3, but I think there's 3 or 4. But anyway, they're adding numerous new maps, and what they're going to do is, so they mention that they give an example of it. Where do they say? The mine shaft will still be there on Suffocation Pit, but it might be in a different place. I think this is a tragically bad decision, even though I understand what they're doing. And the reason is, I look at Bad on Preschool, where they were like, okay, let's take this one map and let's have 5 versions of it. Out of all the versions, I would say at least 3 of those versions are horrible, terrible, bad. Realistically, they're all pretty bad. I don't like the preschool map, but if I'm being generous and I'm saying maybe I'm biased because it's the one I've played on the longest because it was the original, I don't necessarily hate the original layout for the preschool map. I don't like it. It's still not a map I'm excited to go to, as a killer at least, but it's alright, I guess. I think this is a huge mistake, and I think it's going to make Macmillan very painful to play on. We'll see. We'll see. One thing, I've said a lot of nice things about the devs. Let me offer something not as nice. They're very bad at map design. I'm sorry. I know that it's like, I'm sitting here never having designed a map, and I'm criticizing their maps. I realize how that is. I realize how unfair that is. But I've played on their maps for like 4,000 hours. I'm pretty confident in my ability to say they're not very good at map design. So if their new plan is, oh, we're just going to explode with all these new maps. First off, the thought of how many bugs this is going to cause just breaks me mentally. I am shattered. I am incapable of even grasping just how much this is going to, how much bad sauce this is going to pour on the spaghetti code. I'm not excited about it. I think this is very bad, and I'm interested. I haven't checked how Twitter's feeling about it, but I have this theory that people are not going to be excited about it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe I go on Twitter and everybody's like, this is the greatest thing ever. This is exactly what we wanted. More Macmillan. It's possible. It is technically possible. Perks. All right. Neither one of these is going to get more than like a 10-second furtive chase. Once you get all of your tokens, each token is 5 meters instead of 4 meters, which means you can get up to 20 meters reduced off of your terror radius during a chase. Why that's going to help you? That's what hurts about this perk, is like if it was off of your terror radius period, I could see it having a lot of value. It'd be a very strong perk. But your terror radius in chase? Who is that? Bad perk, not going to be used. Still garbage. Background player. Yeah, it's been boosted from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. It's still debatably the worst exhaustion perk, especially now that Smash Hit has been made so much more useful. Bad. Trapper got a lot of change. Well, I'd say a lot of. He got the most meaningful changes, I think. He has 8 bear traps. He had 6. That's lovely. That's nice. And now 7.5% haste after setting a bear trap. I would imagine you have to go all the way through with setting the bear trap, because if you could just like do that where you start putting it down and then you pick it back up, that would actually make Trapper, I'm not going to say good, but that would be pretty damn strong. if you could just pop 7.5% haste whenever you wanted, I mean, obviously that would be incredible, but they're probably not going to do that. They'll probably be a little busted, actually, being realistic. But look, this is a quality of life change. Does it make Trapper A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier? No, he's still in the very bottom. But this is making him better. They've already said, and they restate it here, that what is it? We try to keep him as simple and straightforward as possible. See a trap, set a trap. So anybody wanting a big rework for Trapper, it's not going to happen. But if you are so inclined to play Trapper, this will make it a little better for you. So I hope, Trapper mains, I hope you feel like you're eating good here. Well, even. All right, Huntress and Trickster. Very simple, very nice little quality of life here. It's now 3 seconds to open the locker instead of 4. Now, there's nowhere in here that they said they were going to nerf things like Iron Maiden. So, yeah, the effectiveness is going to be reduced some because the time has been reduced. Obviously, it's based off of percentage, yada yada. I get that, but I still think you'll see Trickster and Huntress run Iron Maiden. But this is nice. A little less reason to run it now, so that's good. Deathslinger, they have done something very similar to what they did for Clown back in the day, where they noticed that almost all clowns were running the thick cork stopper that made them reload more quickly. So they just made that base kit, and they reduced the effectiveness of the thick cork stopper a little bit. And what they've done here with Slinger is the exact same thing. I forget what it's called. I take it every time I play him, though. Warden's Keys. That's it. Warden's Keys is the add-on that reduces your reload time. Every Deathslinger brings it because every Deathslinger has to bring it. They've just made it base kit. It's in there now, and the actual add-on is still there, but it's been nerfed. They have also changed the Jaw Smasher. I turned into Sid the Sloth there. Jaw Smasher and Wanted Poster, which are the ones where when you're aiming down sight, how quickly you move. They say they want to make them more interesting choices to consider. Nobody's going to use them. They're not. But this is a good change. That's good. So that's nice. And then Legion. Legion has had an adjustment to the BFF add-on, which was the one where, you got the movement speed increase here. And they've just made it a little better. So is this going to make that is it going to make it a good one? Probably not. I know that the Legion players that I know seem to think that the BFF add-on is just atrociously bad. So is a 2% increase to its overall effectiveness, which I guess if you get all stacks, it's not just 2%. But yeah, it's still probably not going to be very good. But, I think it's an interesting add-on. I think there's the potential for it to be fun. So who knows? Maybe I'm an optimist, but I feel like if nothing else, they're trying something new, right? So good on them. Just buff the numbers, see if it helps. If not, you can always address it later. And that's going to do it for what I think is a kind of middle-of-the-road update. Really like what we're seeing with the Borgo. That's good. Like what we're seeing with Trapper, Huntress, Trickster can he can wander off. I don't care about Trickster. Really like to see those. Legion, I don't feel any certain way about that. Slinger, that's a good change. The perks, it's almost insulting that you even included this because this is garbage. Terrible. Not necessarily the background player is terrible. Just a 1 second difference. That's not going to really change a whole lot. I guess if you're super dedicated to doing, if you're super dedicated to a Sabo build, maybe you find that this is helpful. Macmillan, this is going to be catastrophic. Skull Merchant, it's going to be interesting to see. And Face Camping and Skull Merchant are the two biggest ones, and they're both going to be interesting to see. So overall, if we're grading this, it's like a C+, B- type. Like there's some good, there's some bad, and there's a lot of gray area where we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But either way, I'm interested to know what you think about all this. Let me know down below. And by the way, I know I've been gone. I'm sorry. I kind of gave the spiel in my Nun 2 review, but like 300 of you watched that, so I'll say it here. I know I've been gone a while. I'm sorry. It's just been a lot of things kind of stacked up on top of each other. And also burnout. Burnout hit me in a really bad way, so I'm excited. I've got about an hour-long video. Well, not hour-long, probably close to like 40-minute long video in the works right now. Hope I can drop that sometime this week. Either way, though, I do hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with me. I do appreciate it, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Until then, I've been Das Food, my friends.
And I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my